presentation, I certainly want to recognize some of the board members of the Harlingen EDC. And here today we have Eric Zehe sitting right up front. We also have Lizzie De La Garza Putnett, who is on our board as well. I don't think I'm missing anyone else, so we'll go ahead and get started. Well, I'm very excited to kick off this event. We have a great program planned for all of you, and just want to give you a quick introduction of who I am. So I'm Orlando Campos. I'm the CEO of the Harlingen Economic Development Corporation, and I've been doing economic development for close to 30 years. I started in my hometown of Brownsville, and then I actually worked here in Harlingen many years ago at Valley International Airport, went back to Brownsville, and for the last 16 years I've spent my time doing economic development in North Texas. Started off in for the city of Harlingen, just as the Cowboy Stadium was being built, and then I went to kick off the economic development department for the town of Addison in North Dallas County. One day I came home to celebrate my mom's 89th birthday, had a great time, and realized that I was missing on a lot of family events. And so I started looking around and thinking about coming back to the community. So I chose Harlingen and decided to come back, and I'm very excited to work for the HEDC and help propel the community to make it a stronger and viable community here in the Rio Grande Valley. As I mentioned, I am a native of Brownsville, graduate of Columbia University in the city of New York with a degree in urban studies and history, and so I've been doing economic development for a number of years. So we've got a great program planned for you. I'm going to kick it off with a quick overview of the community, and then we have two panels. One of the panels will talk about the local real estate market, and so these are individuals that are actually in the trenches, working in the community, who have done great projects here, and so they'll talk a little bit about their experiences here in Harlingen. Next, we will talk about the assets that we have here in the city. We'll talk about the new infrastructure projects that are currently underway and as well as being planned. We'll talk about one of the greatest assets that we have here in Harlingen, which is Valley International Airport, which I know that many of you have probably flown out of here via Southwest or some of the other airlines. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Port of Harlingen. I think many people are still surprised and don't realize that Harlingen actually has a water port here in the community not too far from where we're located. So we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation, and we'll talk a little bit about Harlingen. I think that one of the things that we often get asked is, why do businesses choose Harlingen? And I think one of the biggest reasons is, of course, our location. When you look at the entire Rio Grande Valley, you realize that the two larger population nodes are just south of us and west of us, and Harlingen is that ideal location right in the center, where companies that are looking to take advantage of everything the Rio Grande Valley has to offer can establish here and do that much more conveniently. We are a very pro-business community. As the commissioner said, we are expanding our P&Z to make it easier for businesses that are looking at developments here in the area to try and make it a little bit more seamless. And just like the rest of the valley, we have a very young population that is eager, that is ready to work and welcome new businesses to our community. Quick overview of our demographics. We do have a population of 73,143, and it is growing. I think if you drive around the community, you'll see quite a number of new residential developments that are taking shape just west of the downtown area. And so we're very excited to be welcoming new residents here to the community. We have about 26,000 households. Average household income is $66,454, and the average travel time for many of our residents is 19 minutes. But we also recognize that we are part of a much larger region, which is the Rio Grande Valley. The slide that you see up here shows a 60-minute drive time to the region from our community. And so when you look at this region, within 60 minutes drive time of Harlingen, there's a population of 1.3 million people. And once again, relatively young population with a household income of 67,000, labor force of over 500,000 people. So we're very excited to be located where we are because we can take advantage of a much broader and larger population base. And our location obviously gives us the advantage for connectivity. So we are at the intersection of two major interstate roadways, which is I-69 East as well as Interstate 2. So a lot of logistics firms that are looking at taking advantage of the whole valley often choose our community simply because of the connectivity that we offer. And of course, we've got the busiest airport here in the Rio Grande Valley, which is Valley International Airport, which is served by 5 airlines. I won't go into too much detail on that, simply because one of the panelists that is here is the Director of Aviation that will go into much more detail about the airport and projects that they are working on to enhance the service at the airport. Port of Brownsville, the Port of Harlingen is located just east of the airport. And so we'll go into more detail about the Port of Harlingen as well during one of the panels. We also have connectivity to Mexico via the Free Trade International Bridge at Los Indios. This is an international bridge that was funded and is owned by the city of Harlingen as well as San Benito and Cameron County. So when you talk about regional projects, this is a good example of how two communities working very closely with the county were able to develop an international bridge into Mexico. And we do have a heavyweight corridor going from the Port of Harlingen to Los Indios Bridge. So we're able to provide heavy cargo users that access. Needless to say, talent and workforce is very, very important to new companies that are looking at expanding to the Rio Grande Valley. It is also one of our strategic goals to help enhance and grow the education level of our local labor force. And so we're very fortunate to have a campus of Texas State Technical College here in Harlingen that offers a variety of technical programs, as well as working with local industry on customized training programs to help meet their needs. I'll mention that TSTC has campuses throughout the state of Texas, and they're headquartered in Waco, but the Harlingen campus is the largest campus in their entire system. So we're very fortunate for that. And I think one of the successes that has led to that is the regional support that they get from the entire Rio Grande Valley as well as the city of Harlingen. School district is also something that's very important and that we work very, very closely with, simply because we want to help develop the future pipeline of labor force here in the community. And so the school district has taken the initiative to develop 13 individualized academies to help address the future industry needs here in the community, as well as the entire region, to help ensure that students who are graduating from the school district are able to access a lot of the future jobs that are coming to the region. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the development opportunities that exist here in Harlingen. We do have a number of industrial parks. The map that you see up there shows the locations relative to the entire Rio Grande Valley. And I'll talk a little bit about 3 different locations that are located within close proximity here. We have the Harlingen Aerotropolis, which is owned by Valley International Airport over on the west side. We also have the Harlingen Industrial Park, as well as the Port of Harlingen. Most of these locations are on the east side of the community. Some of these properties are owned by the airport, the port, as well as the Harlingen Economic Development Corporation. But when you look at an aerial view of this region, there are also quite a number of private properties that are undeveloped. And so this equates to well over 5,000 acres of land that is available for development. And so we've got a few initiatives and companies that we're working with for this part of the community. And so we're looking at enhancing the infrastructure to be able to accommodate future growth and development to help attract new industries to the community. Our newest industrial park is the industrial park at Roosevelt, located along Interstate 69, just north of Interstate 2. And this is a 65-acre industrial park that was awarded a $2.6 million grant from the Economic Development Administration to help mitigate and address drainage issues. And so for those of you that are contractors, we will be letting out an RFP next month on this project. And so I encourage all of you to be on the lookout. So another opportunity that exists here in Harlingen is Via Vista Mall, and a lot of people ask, well, what's going to happen with that mall? We are working on helping to promote this location. It does have its challenges, but we're looking at addressing these challenges. A lot of the large pad sites are privately owned. Then you have the interior mall itself that is owned by someone else. So obviously, as we help promote this mall, we're looking for someone that can come in, catalyze, piece together all of these properties for redevelopment. It is ideal for redevelopment simply because it is located at the intersection of 2 major corridors. And I think that within the next few years, you'll start seeing some developments happening at this location, simply because as the valley grows, more and more focus will be looked at this location, because companies and individuals that have to work throughout the entire valley will realize that this is a great location with quick access to the entire valley. There's also been a lot of growth in the residential market, and a lot of opportunity that exists here as well. When you look at multifamily developments, our vacancy rates are 5.7% compared to 7.4% for the entire state of Texas. So that talks about the demand for multifamily here in the community. And so we have a few developments that are taking shape as well. Home values have increased by nearly 56% in the last 5 years, and so this speaks very highly that Harlingen is a safe investment for individuals that are looking to build a new home. And one of the reasons that I chose Harlingen as well as my new home, and I actually just moved into my new home this past weekend, so I'm very excited to be an official tax-paying resident of the community. But a lot of the growth that has happened here in Harlingen is basically a result of what's happening throughout the entire region. When you look at Cameron County, some of the largest projects that have been that are happening here are impacting our community. You have companies like SpaceX that moved here to Cameron County, recently announced that they're relocating their headquarters to Cameron County, and so we'll start seeing a lot of that growth. We already know of a number of residents that actually work for SpaceX and some of these other companies that have chosen Harlingen
to be their home location, simply because they want to be able to take advantage of everything the Rio Grande Valley offers, as well as the relatively low tax rate that the community has. There are a few other projects that are taking shape, which will help attract, that will help attract more jobs to the community, including the two LNG plants that are planned at the Port of Brownsville next decade, as well as Texas LNG, and then there's a new refinery that will be built at Port of Brownsville as well. And so as that community becomes more congested and more expensive, people will trickle to other regions and other areas here within the Rio Grande Valley. And so Harlingen is poised to take the opportunities that come from these investments. But when you look at economic indicators, which are a strong indication of how the community is looking in terms of the economy, every economic indicator shows that we're moving in the right direction. You look at the median individual income in Harlingen, over the last few years, you're starting to see an upswing and an increase. The number of people employed here in the community is also starting to grow. We've got a very robust business retention and expansion program to ensure that we work with local companies to help provide assistance and support for their growth. And it's very important that we help provide support for this effort, simply because 80% of any community's new jobs come from existing companies. So we want to make sure that we work not just in attracting new industries, but that we work with local companies. Population in Harlingen is also growing, and I predict that we'll start seeing a sharper uptick in this area based on all the new residential developments that are being built. And as you can see, housing units in Harlingen are steadily growing.
Sales tax trends are also on an upward swing. We've been keeping, or rather the chart that you see up above shows the sales tax going back to 2019, and as you will see, we never have had a downturn on sales tax revenue, even despite the pandemic that occurred a few years ago. But Harlingen is experiencing a building boom. We have been breaking records in new construction permits, as you will see from this graph. In fiscal year 2023, we had $176 million in new developments happening here in the community. So as you'll compare that to previous years, it is phenomenal growth that will continue to happen and into the future as the entire region grows. One of the things that I've thought about since coming back to the region and here in Harlingen is trying to understand why the entire region is growing so fast. I think one of the things that I realized was when you look at the Texas map that is on this slide, a lot of the larger metropolitan areas are basically described as non-attainment areas, which makes it very, very difficult for heavy industry to get air quality permits for their new developments. And so when you look at the entire Rio Grande Valley region down in the south, we're considered an attainment area, which means that we have clean air, and so it's much easier for a lot of companies to obtain permits for heavy industry. Just like the entire Rio Grande Valley, we have a very young population, and given our location, we're able to tap into that much larger labor force. And then another advantage, as I mentioned before, we have over 5,000 acres that are undeveloped and ideal for new developments. We are also working on a few projects that will generate more power sources here for the entire valley, which will be able to provide services to our industrial park, and our location in the central U.S. time zone continues to be an advantage for the region.
And as an economic development organization, obviously, we are open for business. We have programs in place to help support and attract new industries here to the community. And those are our incentive programs. So this slide talks a little bit about the different various programs that we offer for new companies that are looking at expanding. We will work with any type of company, everything from industrial clients to retail, as well as different varieties of developments. We basically take a holistic approach to economic development in the sense that any investment here in the community is positive for the entire region. And so we want to make sure that everyone understands the opportunities that exist here in our community. And so our doors are open to all of you, and we're here to support your efforts, provide any information so that you make an educated decision on your investments so that you are not blindsided at all. And so our contact information is located up in this last slide, but I also want to mention that if any of you want a copy of this presentation, please leave us your business card. We will forward a copy of this presentation, answer any additional questions that you might have about Harlingen, and or provide you any additional information that you might need on the region itself. So I'll open it up to any questions that you might have, and happy to try and answer those. If I don't have a response, I've got my entire staff here that can assist me.
I know that the city has three different tax increment reinvestment zones. Can you touch a little bit about those?
Sure. And for those of you that don't know, this is Ramiro Aleman. He's the Economic Development Director for Cameron County, and former HEDC employee as well. So, Ramiro, welcome.
So one of the tools that we have in place is called the tax increment reinvestment zone. So we've got 3 of those located here within the community. One of them is located around the Bass Pro Shop development. Then another one that we're also focusing in on is a tax increment reinvestment zone just south of the hospital. And you'll likely see a lot more movement happening in these 2 areas. So there is quite a bit of undeveloped land around the Bass Pro Shop, which we are constantly promoting, ideal for retail investment. And so we'll start seeing a lot of that happening as the entire region grows. Obviously, when you're focusing in on retailers are looking for rooftops. So as new residential developments are growing here in the community, that becomes more and more attractive for new retailers to move here into the area. And any of you that deal with the retailers, we want to work with you and show you the future growth that is happening in that part of the community. And so taking advantage of some of these opportunities early on will benefit all of you. But the other location that I mentioned is just south of Valley Baptist Hospital, our medical district. And so we are working on a major development at that location, which will be a mixed-use development, which will include retail, residential, hospitality as well. We haven't formally announced that development, but we are moving forward with it, and we have a few commitments from individuals that or businesses that are very, very interested in that location. And that will certainly help enhance the look and feel of the community, be a tremendous asset for the hospital district, because they will be able to attract new medical professionals to the community to help satisfy the needs that exist here. But the way a TERJ works is, for those of you that are not familiar, is you have an existing tax base, taxes that are being generated. And so when a TERJ is established, the city will continue to maintain that tax base and that goes into the community. But obviously when you start developing in this region, the taxes slowly start to increase based on new development
that is happening within that area. So any additional taxes that are collected within that region that is designated as a TERJ sort of goes into a bank, if you will, and those funds are reinvested into the district for roadways, for infrastructure, even for new buildings. And so this helps enhance that location. The TERJ is typically for 10 years, and once that TERJ expires, then the entire increment that is generated goes into the city's general fund to be able to continue to sustain that region as well as provide additional funding and support for the entire community. So that's one of the tools that we have in place here in Harlingen. And if you're interested in those locations, we can certainly help guide you and provide more information of the support that is available. And so the City of Harlingen participates in the TERJ. We work very closely with the county and the other taxing entities to help support TERJs that are located within Harlingen. Any other questions? Okay. Well, we'll get started with the exciting and fun part of our event, and these are the panels.